This is the Infinite Receiving Podcast, helping conscious leaders like you tap into a wealth of abundance across all areas of your life and business. My name is Susie Ashworth. I am a single mom of 3 and author of the Sunday Times best-selling book, Infinite Receiving. Crack the code to conscious wealth creation and finally manifest your dream life. On this show, I'll be sharing with you how you can upgrade your identity and your reality to create the life that you have been dreaming of. Because you are ready to be an infinite receiver. Hello, you gorgeous human being. It is Susie Ashworth here, and you are listening to the Infinite Receiving Podcast. And I am smiling to myself, if you couldn't hear already, because this is actually the 3rd time that I have done this introduction. And on the last time, I was like, why am I going off piece? What the heck am I talking about? So I am just going to stick to the script. I do want to say before I get into the episode, which is going to be all about how to cultivate that main prize magnetic energy, baby, that I am feeling vibey. The sun is shining. There is a very slight breeze in the sky, which is making the leaves and the trees dance. I'm seeing seagulls swooping in front of my house, and it is just making me feel like, summer, take me. Like that is how I feel today. I'm excited. And let's get into it. So what do I mean when I say main prize energy? It's interesting because this is not a new concept. I have had this shared to me in these words many times before. When I talk about it in the book, I'm talking about knowing your infinite greatness. I suppose there is a slight nuance, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But I want to remind you that the only reason that you are not in mastery status in some of the areas of your life that you desire to have mastered is because you forget the basics. It's because you feel like, I already know. You haven't been consistent with what it is that you already know. And because there's a gap, you then decide that you need to look for something alternative. And you get very excited about that for a couple of days. And then you forget about what it is that you are supposed to be doing, where you are supposed to be behaving from, thinking from, feeling from. You don't see the results that you want. So you see the gap again and you decide that the theory or the strategy can't possibly be working. So then I'm going to go on to another thing. And this is how we spend our entire lives. Like, this is a symptom of the human condition. And in the past, I think that I used to play into, I need to say something different. I need to come up with a new idea, a new concept. Otherwise, people are going to get bored. Here's the thing. What I am realizing, especially at the moment, is every time I am inspired by a mentor or a coach, every single time I'm like, oh, I've just had a breakthrough. The breakthrough is something that I have been aware of for years. And it's like, oh, I stopped doing that. I stopped remembering. I decided that there was another thing that was the most important thing. And so even though as a teacher and as a coach, I love to be able to come at things from different angles, because I know that sometimes it's just a case of timing. It's like you've heard it a million times before, but if I say it in a slightly different way and it converges at the perfect time for you to actually hear it, then it's like, oh my goodness, this is like the first time I've ever heard it. And I am all for that. But I do want to remind you that there are literally like maybe 1 or 2 teachers that I listen to who really do say things that I feel like I've never heard before. And maybe actually that's 1. And even as I say that, I'm like, no, it's not even that they say it in a way that I've never heard before. It's just that their transmission feels wildly unique. That's it. You know this, but you're not acting from it. And so let this be your reminder today. Let this be your wake-up call from the amnesia that has been ruling your life. So when I talk about main prize energy in the book, I say this is knowing your infinite greatness. So the first step to claiming you being the main prize, knowing your infinite greatness, is to choose awe and wonderment at the fact that you are listening to this podcast episode right now. Like, it's amazing. And it's amazing because there was a 1 in 400 trillion chance of you being born. Like, that's why it's amazing. And we take it for granted because we see it every day. We think that because it's normal, that it's not a miracle. We think that because, we've seen all of our aunties and uncles, or we've seen all of our nieces and nephews, we've seen our kids, like it's happening all of the time. We don't accept or acknowledge that it's incredible. Like, your birthday is a really, really special day for the entire planet, because without your presence, whether you know it or not, the entire planet would be different. Like, that's a vibe. Want that just to land with you for a moment. Your presence matters. And to start the day with deep appreciation for the fact that you have woken up and that you are alive and that your presence gets to make a difference today. It gets to make a difference today. That is going to change the way that you walk. It's going to change the way that you engage with people. And most importantly, I want it to change the way that you engage with yourself. When you go and brush your teeth, you go and comb your hair, I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to be deeply appreciative of the person that you are looking at. Be in awe and wonderment of your own presence, because what happens as you start to appreciate yourself more, guess what? You become a match for deeper appreciation. You become a match for people being in awe of your presence, and you're worthy and deserving of that. So that's step 1. Choosing to be in awe and wonderment of the fact that you are here right now on this planet. It's amazing. Step 2 is to acknowledge that there is only ever going to be one version of you. Like, you are the original. You are one of a kind. You are the collector's item. And again, it is so interconnected with step 1 in 400 trillion chance. And at the same time, you live your life like you're kind of expendable. Like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal that there is only ever going to be one version of you that walks this planet. It's a huge deal. It is a huge deal. It makes you the rarest type of commodity. I don't know whether I want to use the word commodity, but you get what I mean. And yet you don't live from that place. And whether you are focusing on being a stay-at-home parent right now, or whether you are an entrepreneur in your first couple of years of running a business, or you are way more established, it doesn't really matter what it is that you do. But when you start to really appreciate that there is only ever going to be this version of you that walks this planet, the desire for you to start to emulate other people diminishes, because there is a deeper understanding that the more you can be, the more you are fulfilling your life's purpose. Every time you look at somebody else and ask yourself, how can you be more like them? A part of your soul is dying. A part of your soul is like, no, I can't be them. I don't want to be them. That is not what I am here to be. I am here to be this version of you. I am here for us to be us. I am here so that you can do you, not you can do them. I don't know how to do them. You can only ever be a poor imitation of them. And yet we don't make our work finding out who it is that we actually are. And, I think actually there is even a slight disdain at this idea of going off to find yourself. That's a thing that you do in a gap year when you're 18, 19. You should know who you are at 40. You should know who you are at 45. The thing is, if you've not actually done that work, in fact, it's not even that. Going away when you're 18 or 19 is usually just letting go of the shackles of your parents. But at that first step out, if you did that, there is still such a craving to belong. And there is still so much work to identify what are the things I actually want, because we have been programmed for the whole of our childhood to see the world in a certain way. And so when it comes to 30, 35, 40, 50, sometimes 60 or 70, depending on the context of which you've been living your life, it can be conversations like this, episodes like this, where you're aware that you are still living your life based on other people's needs and wants and desires versus your own. Therefore, you don't know who you are and what your preferences are because you've not been asking that question. You've not been allowing that to come through. As you commit to that being your work and then living your life from that place, something magical gets to happen. And there is the tiniest hesitation because sometimes, not all of the time, in the commitment to live your life as you, when the life that you have made up until this point has been built on you not being yourself, sometimes there is a crumbling. Sometimes there has to be a releasing and a letting go that doesn't feel positive and empowering. It will do eventually, but sometimes there is the messy middle, and that gets to be okay. Your work is to become full of yourself, full of you. And every time you want to create something new, every time you want to up level, rather than looking outside of yourself, it's how much more of me can I allow myself to be? And that question shifts your identity. That question, when honored, when the answers to that question are honored, that is when you really start to experience magic, because people can feel your authenticity. And that's so bloody attractive. It's so magnetic, because that is what everybody, whether they know it or not, is craving: the freedom to be fully themselves. But you can only be fully yourself when you acknowledge and appreciate the fact that there will only ever be one version of you. And so the desire to compare and copy and imitate everybody else, that gets to be released. So this is the second step, acknowledging that you are one of a kind. And then the third step, as we talked about in a couple of episodes ago, is just claiming your artist status. This is, another way to say this would be claiming your creator status. This is the fourth pillar that I talk about in the book, being an infinite conscious co-creator. It's thinking about your life in a space of this is my intention, this is how I desire to feel, this is what I desire to do, and then consciously creating contexts and environments and networks of people that support you in that vision. And it's understanding that how you respond consciously or not to life, to the things that are happening, when combined with your conscious intention, it's that will determine whether you are living in the masterpiece that is possible for you to live in. It's a conscious decision. This is what I want to create. This is how I want to live. This is what I want to do. And then it's consciously responding to the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns on the way to you creating that outcome. Understanding that the outcome is the cherry on top of the cake. And actually, it's the intention and the becoming of the human that is a match for your desires. That's where the real beauty is, and also where the instant manifestation gets to take place. Because the reason that we want any given thing is because of how it is that we desire to feel. There's the play aspect of I'm a creator, so let's frickin' see. That is the outcome piece. But underneath the why I want to create anything is because we are looking for a certain feeling, a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of joy, a feeling of safety, a feeling of security. And the moment that you decide that you consciously are the creator, and of course, you get to have what it is that you desire always, you can instantly manifest that feeling, instantly choose that feeling, instantly claim that feeling. And the more that we instantly claim what it is that we desire underneath the material manifestation, the more we get to observe how the universe conspires for us to receive exactly what it is that we desire. And it feels like magic. It feels like magic. And I suppose what I'm talking about there is the synchronicities, the people, the places, the opportunities. All of that feels like magic. It's just you claiming the feeling now and then knowing that, of course, it's already done. That is what makes the masterpiece. And for everybody else who is not consciously intending and then consciously responding, it doesn't feel like a masterpiece. It feels like a shit show. And, that's okay. It's just where you are in the journey. But I want you to know that you can shift that so quickly when you take these 3 steps. And this final step is acknowledging that you are the creator and you get to create a masterpiece. That's it. So step 1, choosing awe and wonderment of the fact that you are alive. Step 2 is really acknowledging that there is only ever going to be one of you. And step 3 is claiming your artist status, claiming your creator status. When you do all of these 3 things, guess what? You are the prize. You walk through the world with a different energy. It's like it's this real knowing. I am the prize, baby. This is what I do. This is what I create. This is the magic that surrounds me because I am magic. And really understand that I am not talking about walking through this world with a huge ego. I talk about this in the book. When it comes to knowing your infinite greatness, it's first of all, you acknowledge it in yourself and then you acknowledge it in other people. Everybody is the prize. And you get to see that without jealousy. You get to see that without comparison. You get to celebrate it and you get to really elevate those people and you get to give that to yourself. And it's knowing that sometimes their prize is going to be perfect, is going to converge perfectly when it comes to what it is that you are doing, creating, wanting to experience in your life. And sometimes it won't. And that doesn't devalue them. It doesn't make you more valuable than them. It's just that at whatever point in time it is, you guys aren't a match. When it comes to co-creating, when it comes to the exchange of services, when it comes to relationship. But it doesn't mean that they aren't a fucking prize, just that they're not the prize for you right now. And it doesn't mean that you're not the prize. It just means that you're not the prize for them right now. So this isn't about elevating yourself above everybody else. It's knowing your greatness, seeing their greatness, but really notice if you knew that you were the prize, what would you have done differently over the last 24 hours? That's what I want you to answer. What would you have done differently? How would you have approached different conversations if you went in with the energy of, I am the only person on the whole entire planet that is going to be able to share with you, talk to you, inspire you, teach you, coach you, train you, sell to you, whatever it is, love you in this way? How would that change the conversation? How would it change your energy? If you think about the last week, a time where you were told no, how did it feel? And how would it have felt if they told you no and you still knew that you were the main prize energy? How would you deal with rejection? How would you deal with putting yourself forward? How would you deal with conflict? And how would you choose to love if you knew that you were the main prize? These are the questions that I have for you. And I hope that they land with you. I hope that this episode really, really shifts your being and allows you to come at life from a place of knowing that you are the fucking prize, because that is what you are. If this episode has resonated with you, please do me a favor, share this with a friend, tag me on social media, Susie_Ashworth. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. And in the meantime, please remember that faith plus action equals miracles.
Thank you for listening to Infinite Receiving with me, Susie Ashworth. I'd love to share with you my Infinite Receiving activation audio. Go to susieashworth.com/activate infinite receiving.